Hi and welcome back. In this video we're talking about special methods. In a class, as we've seen, not all methods are the same. Python sometimes makes a distinction depending on the method name. Here's an example of one of those methods. That's the dunder_init method. The dunder_init method gets called for you when you create a new object. The new blank object is passed to self, and the name is whatever you put inside your constructor's arguments. And then we've sort of defined a new property inside self, and we've given it the value of our parameter. So the dunder_init method is a special method because Python calls it for you automatically. When you create an object, you don't have to call it yourself. So here's a couple other interesting special methods. First of all, let's define a list of movies. What do you think is going to happen when I print out the movies class? Now, we looked at printing the student class earlier, and you got some sort of student thing printed out. What is the movies class? Is it an error? Well, as you can see, we get a class list. So that's some pretty bizarre functionality there. Does this mean that a list is somehow an object? Yes. Pretty much everything in Python is an object, and this list is no different. Only we've not had to create it using this constructor like student type thing. Instead, Python's created it for us automatically when we use this syntax. You can, however, print, for example, hi.class, and that's going to give you a string class. See, str. So everything is an object in Python. What does it mean for a list to be an object? Well, it means that everything we can do with a list, we can do with our own classes. So here's an example. We can print out the length of movies. Okay, now we know that movies is an object. So what is going on behind the scenes that is allowing us to call this len function, give it the movies object, and it's giving us 2? Well, let's do it. Let's create a class garage. And in it, we're going to define an init method that is going to define self.cars to be an empty list. Now, we can create our garage. Let's say Ford is going to be a garage. And now this Ford has a Ford.cars has this cars property here that is going to print out an empty list when we print it out, because that's what we've assigned it to. However, we can say Ford.cars.append Fiesta and Ford.cars.append Focus, for example. Then when we run this program again, now we get a list of 2 items, Fiesta and Focus. Now, what if I wanted to do len of Ford? Ford is the garage, remember, I want to get the length of Ford because that's going to tell me how many cars there are inside my garage. Of course, when we run this, we get a type error. Object of type garage has no len. Okay, that's an interesting error. It tells us that Python cannot calculate the length of this garage because it doesn't know what the length of the garage is meant to be, or is meant to mean even. So in order to tell Python that this garage has a length, we have to define another dunder method. And that's